So Atiku is set to do a world press conference today by 3 p.m. and is going to be telling Nigerians and the whole world the findings he got about President Bola Tinubu from the Chicago State University. That is, from the documents that Chicago State University released to him. And also, one of the things that Nigerians fear the most, which is the fact that this certificate forgery is going to tell most on Nigerians, is already happening because some people are already facing rejections from Nigerians and the whole world. The findings, latest updates about Tinubu's Chicago State University saga. So Atiku is set to do a world press conference today by 3 p.m. and is going to be telling Nigerians and the whole world the findings he got about President Bola Tinubu from the Chicago State University. That is, from the documents that Chicago State University released to him. And also, one of the things that Nigerians fear the most, which is the fact that this certificate forgery is going to tell most on Nigerians, is already happening because some people are already facing rejections from school abroad because of this certificate forgery. But before we go fully into this, I would like us to like this video and I also like us to subscribe to this channel so we get notifications whenever we post new updates. So Atiku will be having a world press conference today to reveal the findings he got from CSU concerning Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and see the way this newspaper here reported it. Atiku Abubakar, presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the last election, will be hosting an international press conference today, October 5. Dele Momodu, who was Director of Strategic Communications of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, disclosed this on Wednesday night on his X. And according to him, this press conference will be streamed live on all of Atiku's social media platform, and it will also be covered by both international and local media networks. And Nigerians and everybody around the globe is actually waiting for this press conference because it's going to reveal so many things about President Bola Tinubu, and people have been reacting to this on X. This person here said Atiku will be holding a world press conference today. They will learn. I told you, don't stop talking. You are not asking for too much. Keep making demands. I shouted many times that it was time for that world press conference. I do hope others take a cue. And that's very true. When he collected the documents from CSU, people on X have been reacting and calling on him to hold a world press conference, not to just keep quiet, so we, Nigerians, and everyone interested in this case will know what came out from the CSU beyond the deposition that we saw that the school denied Bola Ahmed Tinubu by saying that they did not issue to him the certificate he issued to INEC. Another person here said it's about time to summarize findings from CSU case and shut up all those press people that have received brown envelope from their con master and tell Nigerians and the world the revelations and ask for Tinubu to leave the presidency. And this is very true because it's very necessary. Some people, some media houses are going about to reveal that the CSU revealed that Bola Ahmed Tinubu got the certificate from them and then they shamed Atiku, which is not truth. From what we saw, the CSU said they did not give this certificate, yet some people are still reporting false. That's why this world press conference is necessary. That's why it's essential at this point in time to make it known to the whole world that indeed the president forged his certificate. This person here reacted and said, breaking, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar to hold a world press conference today. Venue, Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Auditorium, Use 2, Abuja, Nigeria. Time, 3 p.m. Today is going to be a very long day for the certificate forger, drug baron in Aso Rock. Stay tuned, guys. And that's it. It's going to be a very big day because many things about him will be revealed. We already know so much, but we know that much more will come out. And now we already know that the FBI too have case too against this same person. And we are wondering, why is it that one man was able to commit so much atrocities? Why is it that one man has so many things that he has forged, so many things that he has faked about himself? But we believe that this World Press Conference now is also going to reveal so much about him. Also, guys, Nigerians are already suffering from Tinubu's certificates forgery saga because some people are already getting rejection from schools in the US that they are applying to. Someone has already revealed how a school in US rejected his application because he is Nigerian. I'll be reading to us the rejection mail he got from the school as a result of the fact that he is Nigerian, and according to them, it is because of the high rate of forgery and fraud in Nigeria. Look at the mail sent to this person from Campbellville University. The mail reads, "Hello. Due to high rates of fraudulent applications, Campbellsville University has suspended processing of new applications for students from Nepal, Nigeria, and Bangladesh. Applications from these countries are immediately rejected upon submission. Thank you." So this is the rejection mail that this person got as a result of the fact that they believe that there are a lot of fraudulent people in Nigeria because of this whole certificate saga, and Tinubu is just exposing Nigerians to this kind of rejection. And this is one thing that people are already talking about. It's one thing that people are scared of. What will this do for Nigerians now that they are saying around the world that the number one citizen of a country forged his certificate, that the number one citizen of a country is hiding things about him from his people? How much more will it affect innocent Nigerians who are hustling and who are striving for greener pasture? This will in no small way affect them. Just imagine the kind of rejection email they are sending to this person due to the high rate of fraudulent application. That means they believe anything coming from Nigeria is actually fraud. Reacting to this person here said, "We don't have to blame them for rejecting Nigerian students because the one INEC made president forged his certificate, even has a drug and criminal offense. This happens when the body that was supposed to be an independent organization is now a political party." And that's the simple truth. Another person here said, "Election has consequences." This person here reacted and said, "Welcome to renewed Shege promise. It will get to everyone soon." Just look at what Nigeria has degenerated to. One man's selfish and personal ambition has truncated opportunities for the next generation. And this is it. We're not just talking about the now, we are talking of the future generation. Will this continue this way, that schools outside Nigeria will be rejecting Nigerians because they believe that anything coming from Nigeria is forged, because they believe that anybody applying from Nigeria is either the person has forged certificates or is about to forge certificates? And I know they are trying to protect their name, because just look at what this has done to Chicago State University. Before they finally came out to swear under oath that they didn't issue the certificate to Tinubu, it took them a lot, because many people were already spoiling their name on X. People were already dragging them. People were already saying so much about them that people will not want to apply for that school. So now they are trying to protect their image, and they are rejecting Nigerians, innocent Nigerians that have the correct and the right qualification to apply for those things. They're not even telling you that you are not qualified. They are saying they're not going to accept you because of the number of fraud that they believe is happening in your country. Can we imagine what our nation, Nigeria, has turned to because of bad leadership? Another person here reacted and said, "Tinubu, as president of Nigeria, has set universities against Nigerian students over forgery of results and identity thief. Campbell University is no longer taking students from Nigeria following high rates of fraudulent applications. The world is watching us." is just a heavy blow to Nigeria if we don't nip the international blackmail to our image. We should not allow precedent that is fake. My biggest issue are the people who are vehemently supporting this whole thing, thinking it does not affect them. Soon they will start weeping one by one. This thing is actually affecting everyone, even though it's not affecting you now. At the long run, it will affect you because we are talking of the image of your country. You are a Nigerian. Anywhere you find yourself, you are a Nigerian. But will you be so happy that someone will say, in your country, what they do is forgery? In your country, they are known for fraud. How will that be? That you will not get opportunities, you will not be able to invest because they believe that you will fake it, you will forge it, or you are fraudulent. How would that be for people into business? How would that be for young people applying for scholarships? How would that be for other people looking for investments abroad? This is not nice for our nation. It's not nice for Nigerians at all. Another person here reacted and said, we all can see this will affect us beyond what we think will happen. The profiling will be crazy. Amuda's effect has started. This person here reacted. You all can now see what is at stake here. The Nigerian reputation and credibility is destroyed by the recent incident of forgery by the number one citizen of the nation, Nigeria. Actions have consequences. Now it has started happening. Shame on everyone that worked to bring this calamity upon us in this country. American universities be like applications from these countries are immediately rejected upon submission. Thank you. Thank you for what? And this is it. They don't even check to know anything about you just because you are Nigerian. They are rejecting it. It's not meant to be. This person here reacted and said, at official Albert needs to resign. The only solution to this calamity. Nigerians, una don't see the consequences of electing a certificate forger. These and more are bound to happen to Nigerians who may be applying to study abroad. When a country's judiciary credits lie over honesty and truth, this is what we get. We celebrate mediocrity over credibility. And this is just it. Our judiciary, they are not doing anything about it. And we're just hoping that the Supreme Court will do the right thing with all of this evidence before them, that this person is not qualified, that he forged his certificate. But we hope that they will not go the same way the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal judges went, that at the end of the day, they will give Nigerians justice in this case, because this is the future of Nigeria and Nigerians that we are talking about. How long will this continue? That you are applying for something outside the country and then they will put it to your face that you forged documents when your documents are actually real. This person here reacted and said they should chase that career criminal, drug lord, certificate forger, election rigger, money launder, fraudster, identity theft, agbero out of Aso Rock ASAP. Any of the children studying outside Nigeria whose parents are politicians in Nigeria and at the top judiciary who fold their arms and watch forger to lead a nation such as Nigeria should be sent back. The rich must feel it too. Hashtag disqualify Tinubu now to save Nigeria and Nigerians. Another person here reacted and said people don't know the level of damage this Tinubu forgery will cause Nigerians, and if he is allowed to sit on that seat, then say bye-bye to Nigeria as a nation. And if you ever voted for Tinubu the drug lord as president, just know that you are the most shameless and pathetic person on earth right now. Last, all of us go suffer. The national and international disgrace keeps increasing. I am more worried about the implications of a forged certificate for everyday Nigerians. I fear this might be a trend henceforth. If you intend to apply to schools abroad, I urge you to do it now before this spirals into a cancel culture. And we don't want this kind of thing. Nigerians deserve better. Nigerians always go out to hustle. Nigerians always want something better. But at the end of the day, their number one citizen, which is the president, will not be the limitation of opportunities for the people, because people are already having this mindset that anything coming from Nigeria and from Nigerians is forged. Another person here said, if you have older children, what about the grandchildren? We all need to speak up. I sure was expecting it, but outright suspension of applications. How much further must Nigerians bend for this first renewed hope? Look at bad luck inflicted by our INEC selected president. Nigeria don't suffer for Tinubu hand. Now wow. Indeed, Nigerians are actually going through a lot in the hand of this current administration. There's so much back and forth, and it's really affecting the nation and the people. It's really affecting Nigerians. That's why well meaning Nigerians are asking for better. Well meaning Nigerians are calling on the Supreme Court to do the right thing and to follow the constitution and the law in giving us justice in this particular case. So at the end of the day, Nigerians and even the whole world at large will know that justice was served. Thank you so much guys for watching this video. Please do to share your thoughts about the video in the comment section. Please do to like this video, and please do to subscribe to this channel so you get notifications whenever we post new updates. Lawyers Oluwole Afolabi presented a document supposedly stamped with CSU insignia, and the school denied it's not from them. The CSU lawyers went on to say it's a Nigerian thing to forge documents. Is this not embarrassing to you as a Nigerian? What a shame. And it's indeed a big shame, because our image in the outside world keeps getting bad and bad each day because of the bad leaders we have in authority. Another person here said, this man brought global shame on everyone. It's sad. This is a shame on an international podium. Quite upsetting. Another person here reacted and said, national reputation in the mud. Where do we start from? I feel really embarrassed at this moment. Kai, Tinubu don't do Nigeria something. People who are defending Tinubu will not notice the damages he has caused Nigeria now, but they will definitely notice it in the long run. And that's the simple truth. You might not notice it because you just want to be a political person. You just want your own person to be in power. But at the end of the day, this is not just about politics. This is not just about tribe, but this is about Nigeria and her future. Where are we going to if the rest of the world keeps seeing us as outcasts? Where are we heading to as a nation if we cannot stand before our contemporaries without them having this mindset that the people they are dealing with are forgers, without them having this mindset that the people they are working with are fake? Because that's what people will begin to see Nigerians as going forward. They'll begin to see Nigerians who are hustling legitimately as fraudsters, as forgers, as false, as fake, because that's what our number one citizen has portrayed to the outside world. Another person here reacted and said, see how Tinubu caused Nigerians huge embarrassment. Imagine a president forging certificates. Tinubu has succeeded in bringing shame and embarrassment to our nation. There are consequences to selecting corrupt and morally bankrupt people. If this is not corrected, the negative impact on everyone is looming. If a president could forge a document, then it will be assumed that the generality of that country does the same thing. And that's the simple truth. This person here reacted and said, the CSU depositions have finally shown that the certificate dated June 22, 1979, but submitted to INEC on June 17, 2022 was not issued by the university. With Tinubu having submitted a forged certificate to INEC, a special part of the birth certificate conundrum will now be addressed by the Supreme Court, and with specific regards to Section 137, subsection 1J of the Constitution 1999. Section 137, subsection 1 states a person shall not be qualified for election to the office of the president if he has presented a forged certificate to the Independent National Electoral Commission. This is the long view, or what the French calls la vision, a long-term achievement Atiku sought when he sought the subpoena of CSU. And that's it. Beyond pushing for this certificate to be released and for CSU to tell us the truth, whether they issue the certificate or not, we know we are going to bring this back home to table it before the Supreme Court and to ensure that justice is served in this case. Also reacting to this, another person here said, "This is one disgrace to many. I want us to think about what has happened to Nigerians in the last few days. Yes, I said Nigerians because it doesn't matter your tribe or religion, whether you are from the north or south, east or west, it affects all Nigerians. The man occupying the most senior office in the whole of Nigeria, the most powerful president in Africa, has been confirmed to have forged his certificate. If you are in doubt, please read the transcript of the deposition held in the United States yesterday. Let's allow that to sink in. This is a monumental embarrassment and a disgrace, to say the least. It will taint the image of many young and old Nigerians, both in the diaspora and in Nigeria, for years to come." Another person here reacted and said, "Will the Supreme Court be shameless enough to uphold the ruling of PEPT? The CSU said it's a Nigerian thing to forge certificates. What is the difference between Mesoma and Bola Tinubu? They are both Nigerians known for forgery. Does that validate what CSU said?" It does not validate what CSU said, because we know that of a truth, we have Nigerians who are legal, Nigerians who have good certificates that was gotten from the school they graduated from. So it's not everyone in Nigeria that forged things. But I know this is already sending bad message outside that Nigerians are known for forgery. Another person here reacted and said, "Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Kashim Shettima must be disqualified by the Supreme Court on the ground of certificate forgery. It is clear as day that Tinubu's certificate is forged and fake. The CSU has confirmed it. The constitution is clear on this." Another person here said, "Tinubu's supporters have all accepted that he forged the certificate he submitted to INEC after the CSU registrar disowned the certificate and said they never issued it, and that Tinubu did not even apply reissue of the said certificate in the first place. What does this mean to you?" It means the Nigerians are already making progress in this case. It means that at the end of the day, justice will be served. This person here reacted and said, "The massive response to the CSU and Tinubu saga should tell the world that Nigerians didn't vote him. He was rigged into power by INEC, Mahmood Yakubu, Buhari and APC. This is Nigerians dragging their own in the mud. We didn't vote him. Hashtag Tinubu must resign." The 44-year-old mystery has finally been solved in 2023. Another person here said, "What the Nigerian judiciary couldn't do in 44 years, the American Court of Illinois has done it in less than 4 months. And thank God for Tinubu. Without him, we wouldn't know the green snakes in the grass in disguise of sons and judges." And that's the simple truth. Without all of this, we will not know what is happening in our judiciary, that most of the sons that we were upholding in Nigeria and saying this person is a good son, this person is a good lawyer, we would not know their true color until all of this that came out to light. And now Nigerians now truly know what is happening in our judicial system. Another person here said, "The CSU people need to know and understand that it is not a Nigerian thing to forge certificates. We refuse to be profiled in this way." And that's the simple truth. It is not a Nigerian thing. That's the problem of the president. He forged his certificate. That does not mean that Nigerians are not good people. That does not mean that we don't have Nigerians who can show you their certificate and prove it that, yes, I got my certificate from this school, from that school. It is not a Nigerian thing to forge certificates. And that's what we are trying to tell the outside world, that the number one person of a country forged certificate does not mean that.
Very much for having me once again, and good morning, Mr. Azan.
Good morning.
I am of the firm opinion that it is not a Nigerian thing to forge documents. Regardless of what the CSU registrar might have to say on the subject, it is not a Nigerian thing. The CSU was unambiguous in making clear that the diploma submitted to INEC does not emanate from it. That, I think, is about the only thing of legal consequence that concerns me as far as I'm concerned. But when you now look to the broader issue of honesty, integrity, the image of the country, it doesn't look good. But I will refrain from speaking further to the issue. Regardless of what pundits might care to say about it, this does not emanate from the Labour Party or Mr. Gregory Peter Obi. This is solely an issue raised by Vice President Atiku, and it is for all of us to look beyond the politics and deal with the substance. Has this man forged a document? That answer has been answered. That question has been answered on hold, and I'll leave it at that unless I need to speak further on the subject. Okay, Dr. Hassan, what do you think?
Well, I believe it's an eggshell rule. The fact speaks for itself from the document and from the inquiry at the CSU. And I beg to disagree in all terms that Asiwaju actually graduated from the Chicago State University in contravention and against former Vice President Atiku self-destructive voyage of shame, in view of the fact that, yes, it's crystal clear that Asiwaju presented a genuine certificate and graduated from the university, and we must not be too overzealous to condemn or just name the dog a bad name on the premise of political affiliation to either Labour Party, which I know my brother and friend, Mr. Adele Farotimi, might be on that same page, while looking at their effect is, did Asiwaju graduated? Yes, he graduated from university with honors. How then do you now prove a case that is prima facie evidence that you lay before the school? And their process, American laws and system of education is different from Nigeria. We cannot holistically view for the fact that the privileged document which Atiku sought for was released and granted, and that on its own ended the whole inquiry. Every other thing is just a voyage of an headless chicken, which will not bring home any other thing than the crudity, the hatred, and political gymnastics just to create and to encourage a media mob attack on the person of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which I believe, as the president of Yoruba Council Worldwide, Asiwaju is an Omoluabi par excellence. So, except there are other things I want to hear on this table. But as far as I believe, we'll run an acquisitorial system of government, legal system. You cannot, without proper investigation and lay before the court of competent jurisdiction, without prejudicing the Supreme Court, which I definitely know is going to end up in the same way, because no substance. The candidate had 21 days to file all their petitions, and all this chase of evidence, aftermath of to substantiate their case is just fruitless. So I believe strongly that when they had the 14 days opening to present any query from INEC, no one raised all this. So it is just the same Inunubini Okaimawawu syndrome. That is, no matter how you might really look to satisfy human or mankind, they will definitely still want to bring down that hatred syndrome to the four heights of the world, which is really unfortunate.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hassan. I'll come to you, Mr. Farotimi, for this question, and then I have a question for Mr. Hassan. For Mr. Farotimi, I don't know if you've read the details of the deposition. I know I'm not sure if the certified true copy is out, but there have been copies of what transpired. A raw copy has been released. And one of the things Mr. Caleb Westberg had said on that oath was that even though he did attest to the fact that President Tinubu graduated from CSU, the certificate presented was not issued by CSU. I'd like you to speak on that and the implications, potential implications of that. And the second aspect is to respond to a comment made by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Toga, in an interview yesterday, where he said, this matter is trivial. It's a trivial matter and we should, I want to take his, he said, the issues surrounding the president's academic qualifications are frivolous. The administration cannot waste its time on trivial matters. Do you agree with him? Are they frivolous, and are these trivial matters that ought to be ignored? And then for Mr. Hassan, because you mentioned the fact that as president of Yoruba Council, he's an Omoluabi, in the event that it is proven, or there are evidences to prove that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu forged the certificate, as an Omoluabi, would you suggest, in the event that it is true, that he resigns?
Well,
let Mr. Farotimi respond.
Well, first thing first, it was correct to decree the forgery by Mr. Tinubu as frivolous. When you consider all the other things that are confronting Nigeria, it is particularly trivial to contemplate that the president, quote and unquote, of the country, of the most populous black country in the world, actually forged his certificate. Now, to move beyond that, because it is very easy to try to run away from the trivialities that the Tinubu administration has more or less forced on us. But if you dig deeper in the body of the same deposition, you begin to address the fact again that there are so many lies undergirding even the forged certificate itself, too many questions waiting to be answered. People might begin to talk about how evidence does not count again at this point. But again, it's not like evidence has ever mattered in our space, because even the judiciary have found ways to make what matters not matter any longer. But there is something that I must respond to, even though it wasn't asked of me directly. And this is this idea that somebody is an Omoluabi simply because the person is a Yoruba person. An Omoluabi comes with qualification. It comes with qualification of integrity, of honesty, of pedigree, of history. That is why we have Oriki in Yoruba land. A person would be praised to his progeny. You will speak to his generations. You will talk about who are his forefathers. That is the mark of the Omoluabi. And then the person must earn the tag of the Omoluabi. He must act with integrity. He must deal equitably with other people. He must be fair in his dealings with people. In fact, the entire ethos of Omoluabi, you can find it in the book of Amos in the Bible. That is how deep the concept is. To now appropriate Omoluabi to everybody who answers the name of a Yoruba person, even when the person has not acted in a manner that is suggestive of the person having the quality that will make the person answer to the name of Omoluabi. I reject that in its entirety. I am an Omoluabi. I'm a Yoruba man. And I have not forged my certificates. And so please, it is not a Nigerian thing, and it is certainly not a Yoruba thing, and it is not an Omoluabi thing to do that.
All right, the question then goes to Mr. Hassan. In the event, of course, it's not proven. Until the matter is concluded, we cannot make assumptions. But in the event, because we hear in other parts of the world when a public officer is saying, he wouldn't even wait for a ruling by the courts, or honorable thing is to resign. What do you think?
Well, from the content, I still want to inform that except it's explicitly spelled out by CSU is an institution. It's not just like the way we mobbed our institution here in Nigeria by campaign of calumny or by attacks. But as an institution, the fact that they reckoned with Asiwaju as a graduate, I still maintain that ground. Nothing can outweigh that, because that was just a fact. There are other lies Atiku brought before the whole world. If you are telling too many lies, it will be quite unfortunate. I'm coming. Just as he never answered your question. Because you asked him a very straightforward question and he deviated and went on a voyage on his own self-interest. But for me, Asiwaju, just like our organization, recently we hold the symbolism of Omoluabi. There are a lot of characters that hold that value, hard work, vision, courage, integrity. These are semblance that we hold in high esteem. Until it's proven otherwise, we will take the right decision to rethink and review our decision. But as at now, and that is the system of Yoruba people. Recently, we just took a decision on another statement for just violating a moral decadence of the Yoruba people, because he violated for Obasanjo to apologize. We sanctioned him. It doesn't matter whose us is God. But for the fact that social justice must be maintained, rule of law must be maintained, you cannot come on a live program imputing. You don't impute. You even raise it as an allegation until it's proven. He's a lawyer, and I'm also a lawyer. You don't come to impute a crime that have not yet been investigated and properly alleged. For the fact that the school had just come out. So this is one of our person. We had all the qualification. The earlier issue was that it was parading a female, it was parading this, it was parading every other. But yet, at various points in time, the hatred, some of these are people, for the fact that we're all Yoruba doesn't mean we must love our own. I'm not a sentimental and ethnic person. I'm the Secretary General of all ethnic nationalities in Nigeria. I hold the Igbo in high esteem, the Hausas in high esteem. So it's not about a Yoruba thing. We are talking about national interest.
Absolutely. So to the question.
And if he does, I've already answered your question.
I asked that in the event,
yes.
and it could be anybody. So maybe
yes.
Because of the personality, in the event that it's proven, would you suggest or recommend that the person in question should resign?
No, if he's proven guilty, the Senate needs to impeach him. He doesn't need to still hold on when they do more, because that is the law. When we are talking about law, we tend to be more emotional in this part of the world. If you are not reading in between the lines, the more that we are hypnotized and overzealous about political intrigues that battled us in the 2023 general elections. We all know how we had till now. If you go on social media, there are a lot of issues there.
Yes.
But in view of the fact that Asiwaju today is still an Omoluabi par excellence, except Mr. Dele Farotimi has personal hatred and issue. If you don't have any, you don't begin to chastise a man for just the fact that he's a former governor of Lagos State. Everybody has their own interest. But for the fact that you've aided you've aided your own political candidate, let's give him a breathing space to serve the people. He has started well. Thank you.
Let's deal with facts. Not
yes,
sentiments.
definitely.
Not sentiments. I want to deal with facts. So, have you taken our time to read the raw copy? Over 200 pages of deposition, because I want to interrogate the raw copy.
Definitely.
Have you read everything?
Yes, I've read it.
You've read everything. Are you sure?
Definitely.
Okay, good. So let me take you first to the part where the school talked about the fact that they didn't give the certificate that he submitted to INEC. You're a lawyer by training. There's something called the Evidence Act. Before you put forward a document that can be submitted under oath, it has to be issued by the authority issuing body.
Yes.
Mr. Tinubu submitted a document that in this deposition, CSU said they did not issue. Number one, what's that your interpretation of that? Secondly, if you submit a document, you claimed an authority issued and the authority claimed they didn't issue it. What's your interpretation of that? Secondly, Mr. Farotimi, I want to go straight to the facts. They talked about the case of Mr. Orr in the deposition, and I'm sure have you read the deposition fully?
I won't lie to you that I have. Unlike Mr. Azan, I haven't read everything.
Okay, they talk about a certain Mr. Orr that after they dealt with the certification process that left CSU, and they didn't know the circumstances at which it left CSU. They also confirmed that they gave Mr. Enarueba documents, because some people have been lying that Mr. Enarueba didn't subpoena CSU They confirmed that they gave him document. They even further revealed that the normal template that the president graduated from CSU was written many years ago, and they just used it to respond to email of people that make inquiries. They also further talked about the fact that they have no authentication as regards that Southwestern College. So the CSU themselves confirmed that they don't have any means to be able to authenticate if the records any student submitted to them is valid or not. Because I've read in details this, so that's why I'm asking you if you've read properly, because I want to deal with facts. So these are some of the facts on ground. Number one, I'd like to ask you, if as a lawyer, an issuing body that you claim gave you a document said they did not give it to you, and you submitted that document under oath, what does that mean?
In the circumstance of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, stricto sensu, there was a missing, he requested for a reissuance of a certificate. And this is the diploma certificate we are talking about. And there are procedures in American system of education whereby documents, not all documents, especially certificates, they outsource printing of certificates in their own system. Their system is not like the way we run our own education as in primary, secondary. So far, you have all the prerequisites, and from their own records, it's just like their records standing against them now. You cannot appropriate or reprobate. The finality, which I'm still telling you, is the fact that from the Atiku's point of view, they need to still subject that to a thorough investigation. And that is where we want to maintain.
Sorry, can I come in? It's obvious, sir. No. You didn't read the document. Hang on a minute. Because it's obvious you didn't read the document.
No. You have just asked me a question.
No, let me finish.
That's the same way.
Let me finish.
You always preempt the person who's answering you.
My brother, we come a long way. Are you emotional blackmail?
No, I don't.
You are chief of blackmail.
No, you have come
so let me please.
Can you retrieve that?
Let me speak.
Statement?
Your emotional blackmail
cannot
work
retrieve that
with me.
statement.
Secondly, you have not read the document.
I will not continue to answer your question.
You have not read the document because if you have read the document,
stop to answer your question.
If you have read the document,
Mr. Rufai, please go back and retrieve that statement, or else let me answer.
I will not retrieve the statement because you've constantly emotionally blackmailed. So moving on.
No. Okay, please direct your question somewhere.
Let me make my points. If you have read the document, it shows that CSU actually sent another document that was made for Tinubu to Enahoro Eba. And there was discrepancy. That's why CSU said they did not print out that document that particularly was sent to INEC. Mr. What's it called? I would like to come to you. Mr. Farutimi. Please, can you comment on all the facts I have brought out?
See, facts don't matter in Nigeria any longer. That's just the truth. It's gotten to the point where alternative facts have taken over the space and truth itself have become completely subjective and transactional. The depositions are clear and they are not ambiguous. The person representing CSU was unequivocal in declaring that the certificate submitted to INEC by the man known as Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not emanate from them. That is a matter that should be conclusively dealt with and forgotten about. Whether the Nigerian courts will find that as sufficient basis to do the needful, that's another argument that we can have at another time. But that we're still arguing about what has been conclusively proven in the deposition speaks a lot to the kind of country that we have become. Now, when you now speak about a missing document, the person went to school, you now begin to dig to the substance of the issue. You now begin to have to answer the question. The document submitted to CSU itself showing that it was a female that had the qualification to enter the place, nobody is talking about that. If we are not going to be dealing with the substance and we are just dancing around the issue, we can't even agree on what is not or what should not be argued about that is already clear in the face of the deposition, that this document to Mark A that was given to INEC by Mr. Tinubu did not emanate from the body that was purportedly issuing the document. The body came out clearly. Now, whether Mr. Tinubu attended the university, whether he attended having the right qualifications, whether he lied about the schools he attended, whether Government College Lagos was found in 1970 or 1974, that's another story entirely. And the deeper you dig into this, the messier it becomes. And I actually think that we have a duty not to allow truth to become transactional and subjective. Facts on the ground are clear. The certificate submitted by Mr. Tinubu is a forgery. That is not my opinion. That is what the registrar of the school has declared on oath. So what our own courts would do with it is what they are prepping for with all these alternative narratives and facts that they are spewing. Oh, so I have a driver's license, but I forgot my driver's license, and I have now forged one so that I might prove that I actually had one issued to me. It's still a forgery.
Okay, 2 quick comments, and then I'll raise a question. 1, a lot of emotions have been invested in this, and depending on where people stand, they bring their emotions forward. But public opinion, as you have pointed out, is useful. However, only yesterday, the CJN, Justice Ariwola, was saying that, look, the new Federal High Court judges are not governed by public opinion. They are governed by the law. That is the main thing that lawyers are concerned with. And he was quoting, well, it wasn't quoting, it was more or less echoing Nikitobi DSC in Atiku Abubakar versus Musa Yaradua, where he said, look, lawyers, you know, they are not interested in public opinion. They are interested in what is provided before them. So we all should be guided, you know, in that regard. Incidentally, both of you are lawyers, but we are journalists. We are interested in public opinion. That's why we invited you. So there's a difference between journalism and law. However, my point is this, to both of you, and I don't know who will go first. There is a story in the papers today saying, oh, the Atiku camp is going to provide evidence to show that, look, there was forgery. And to that point about forgery, Westbeck did not use the word forgery. What he said is that their university doesn't reissue certificates. What they issue is transcript, and that certificates are issued by vendors. That's what he said in that deposition. The one that I read, the raw copy. We will still get, as at 6 p.m., the certified true copy was not available yesterday. So that's for clarification. But the court of people saying they are going to take evidence to the Supreme Court, I ask both of you, is the Supreme Court a court of evidence or a court of public policy? Can anybody still take fresh evidence to the Supreme Court after evidence had been pleaded in the lower court and after the defense had filed their own address and defense? So can the Supreme Court now take a fresh matter as evidence? Because we've been talking back and forth on that. Maybe Dele Farotimi will handle that. And for you, the specific question I want you to ask is that, you know what is causing all this problem?
Yes.
Is that people are saying the energy that the APC and President Tinubu, that they are putting into, they don't want this record to be released. If some people are saying it's because maybe there's something they are trying to hide. Now, otherwise, if there is no issue, you just say, okay, release the record now. What are they going to do with it? So what is all this thing about severe and irreparable damage? What damage?
Well, let me.
So maybe your lawyers are the ones who missed the boat.
No, let me speak as a lawyer first, yeah. This is an election petition matter. And within 21 days, you are meant to present all your facts and figures. You cannot re-amend after 21 days. You have 180 days to present. And so far that you fail to plan up an issue, you cannot begin to blame everyone for your failure. That is what is happening to Atiku and Peter Obi now. And I will now come back to the effect that how we arrive at where we are is because we are not being truthful to ourselves. And just as you mentioned, you are a journalist. But your colleague here is very highly unprofessional.
No, please.
No, I'm
please,
coming.
Just address
I'm
the
coming.
question.
I'm coming. I'm not emotionally blackmailing anybody. You are asking a question.
Blackmailer, continue.
You are asking a question.
Blackmailer,
on
you're my
premise,
friend.
on the premise of neutrality. You don't bring up your emotions into it. I've just provided you an answer.
Professional blackmailer.
Yeah, it's in records. This is an institution. You can write further requests to reaffirm forgery. But they have a process in America. The vendor, there is a vendor, you go to that vendor to reassert if that document actually, that vendor had the authority. By whose authority was the vendor acting? Was there an authorized legal authority to those vendors? Meaning there was a vendor. Meaning there is a truth here. And in evidence. For the fact that these are privileged documents. In America, we don't run things like we have. For the fact that we have FOI in Nigeria, you just apply, you get your document. But in America, you sought the consent of the owner of that document for release. If he doesn't still give you his own document, no matter how, except he gives you...
Even here in Nigeria, you can't ask for my transcript.
Yeah.
You cannot go to...
Except there are substantial reason, criminal reason. And here we are not investigating either Ashwaju did not go to. They are proved, their allegation, all of them, including Dele Farutimi, is that, oh, this man never went to the school, he was parading, never to have graduated. Now you are seeing it, Mr. Rufai. I'm not putting it to you, just the way, it's not left to you.
No, you are the guest.
Respond.
You are the guest.
No, let him put it to me.
No, please.
No,
you are the guest. Just address
No,
it
to me.
No,
To me,
please.
I'm not too emotional.
No, please.
Fact might be very hard for all of us that Ashwaju is the president of this country. Let us accept that as a fact. Is there. Definitely the political interest can be on your side tomorrow. I, as a person, I believed in various of my interests. I work in on the truth. And if I'm continuing to maintain my stand on some issues, for the fact that other people have their own candidate and all that, we maintain our endorsement of Ashwaju because we went through his record. This matter started with Fawemi. There was a matter of the ICPC. There are a lot of matters Ashwaju that have been determined by the court. And you cannot retroactivate an issue that has been determined by a law court. This man is a graduate. Going into looking out for every pulse on the body of a dead man, you are just disturbing yourself. So these are not issues we just have to trivialize. These are privileged documents. He said, oh, don't show my records to this extent. The school showed his gender by addressing him as Mr. Ashwaju. What could have been? Those are comprehensive. Just a primary six holder will understand, Mr. That is not a female. You don't go deeper just because you just want to call a dog a bad name and looking for every evidence around. That is deeply retrogressing and unfortunate. And to me, just as I still retreat, I'm not an emotional blackmailer. I'm only here to speak the truth. If Rufai loves it or not, we'll come back here to readdress other national issues. But as far as I believe, on his question, the document emanated from a vendor. Have you on your own emailed the vendor's institution? Did this document, the school just only provided on hold. If I say yes or no, that is the end. And they don't claim that is forged document.
I get your point.
And Ashwaju is not a forger. Please, I'm reiterating, Ashwaju is not a forger. He's a man of utmost integrity. He's a man that we found to be manly enough to manage the affairs of the country at this critical time, and he's doing the job. That's the only support. What I expect at this time is for us to create a constructive criticism. Let there be a shadow cabinet of opposition to know if it's really meeting up with the target. So for me, I'm not here to furthermore on these trivialities. Definitely, look at the way we are addressing each other over an issue that has been determined outside the country. They went all to shop for lives and they still came back with nothing.
Okay. Dele Farutimi, can the Supreme Court take fresh evidence? Are there compelling exceptional circumstances that would, dictate that? Do you think that forgery can be established at this stage, considering the fact that there are decided cases on forgery? The most celebrated one being the Eremenye case in Bayelsa.
Dr. Abati, when your legislators are corrupt, you should be worried. If your executive peopled by crooks, you should be afraid. But when the judiciary stops being court of law, the people should be alarmed. Nigerian courts over the past few years have shown very clearly that we have good reasons to be worried about the capacity to deliver justice or to give equity. However, I do know that within the inherent jurisdiction of that court, it has the powers, if it so desires and if it finds the will, to hear evidence that will suggest that the person who is sat in the highest office of the land is a career criminal. That is entirely up to the Supreme Court. It is up to the court to decide whether it is capable of saving what we have described variously as a democracy. What I have said is very simple. No. I'm sorry, Dr. Abati. I am sorry, Dr. Abati. Please rein in Mr. Hassan. Rein him in. Rein him in. Rein him in. He had his say and I did not interrupt him.
You had your time.
He had his say and I did not interrupt him.
No,
please rein him in.
What
I said is very clear. What I said is very clear.
Don't interrupt him. Please wait.
You are very biased.
Okay.
In your own opinion.
Okay,
you made up your mind.
Okay, please.
As an unbiased arbiter, you are a judge.
Keep
The judge don't descend into arena. You
can't take over the show, Mr.
No, to me, on that, I believe that we just have to go on. Let us talk about law.
Please, I beg you.
It's the law that we are talking about. It's the lawyer addressing the judiciary. This is the issue. The judges address them.
Okay, but
we lawyers cannot continue
to
desecrate the
judiciary. Allow him.
The judiciary are there to be there as unbiased arbiter. If you love to be part of the articulate,
Go
and join them.
We are not in a
position. Go and
position
of fight before the court. You don't come to the media and presume judgment. And I won't accept it. I won't accept it.
You've taken over the show.
No. We are here to
inform the public.
Not you, but the public.
Hold on. We are not in a position to charge you for contempt. But this is becoming contemptuous.
My words are not ambiguous.
Mr. Farouk,
I was speaking with you specifically, Dr. Abati, over a year ago. I was away in America when you asked me specifically about the appointment of the current CJ, and he was appointed in an acting capacity at the time. And my opinion are on paper. They are clear, they are not ambiguous. I have zero trust in the capacity of the CJN to deliver justice. That is not political. That is something I had said long before there was a Peter Obi. So there is nothing political about that. There is nothing personal about that. This is all about Nigeria. It is about the country we want to leave behind for posterity, for our children. What values are we building that country with? Is it a country where nothing matters any longer once the person can snatch it, grab it? If you speak against that, you must hate the person. Is that the kind of country we have become? It is up to the judiciary to decide whether he wishes to do justice or whether he wants to continue wearing blinkers and pretending that it is a court of law when justice is vacant completely in his court. This is not about legalese. It is about building a society based on morality, equity, justice, and even law. If we are now faced with a situation where in our courts, the law does not matter anymore. You have a Lawan in the Senate, even you have an Akpabio, and then you are asking me if I have confidence in the capacity of that judiciary to do justice. I am telling you straight up, no. If anybody does not like that, it is up to them. The point I'm raising is when you have this much imputation of criminality, whether it is proven or not is another ball game entirely. It is not even seemly. Already all over the world, our reputations are in tatters simply because of the person who sits in the highest office in our land. And then we are being told it is wrong to ask questions. We must hate him if we are asking questions. I hate nobody. I hate their deeds.
All right. Okay, I mean, very heavy things you said here. And as you've mentioned, it's just important to clarify that they're your personal opinion in your personal capacity in terms of your evaluation of the judiciary and the capacity of the CJN to deliver equity and justice.
Yes.
Purely personal. So
purely personal.
All right.
And the evidences are in the public space.
All right. To establish that, I'd like to then to reply to that, Mr. Hassan. What's your assessment of the judiciary? And again, just responding to Dr. Abati's question, around evidence being admitted to the Supreme Court at this level? From a lawyer's perspective yourself, what's your take on this?
Well, admission of evidence are allowed at every stages of every matter, but you cannot bring in fresh matter. That is the case here. On the effect of Atiku, is a dead on arrival case have been issued, and that of Peter Obi. And let me now go into the other question of how best do we rate our judiciary. It's quite unfortunate in this part of the world. When you go to court and you win a case, you go to church and run your Thanksgiving. But the day you lose the case, then you begin to cast aspersion. Our judiciary, which I'm also part of, if you cast aspersion, definitely you are part of that process. But I still want to reiterate, as far as the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal is concerned, the judges are unbiased. And for every lawyer, the jurisprudential judgment of that ruling is a book for another day for lawyers to learn, even for lawyers to know how to prepare election petition matters. You don't just presume the fact that you hate the face of the judges or you tag them on all the social media, definitely because they now deliver judgment against you, definitely they are bad. No. Mr. Abati has admitted, everybody know, our judges are there. You don't preempt them. And that's why I wouldn't want to prejudice the Supreme Court. But I know Atiku and Obi are just on their self-melancholic voyage to just satisfy their followers, the mob attacks. And that's what we are witnessing. Everywhere you go, you see them. But for me, the judiciary is full of integrity, and I believe, and I still reiterate, however the Supreme Court rules, I'm not preempting that they must rule in favor of Asiwaju. If the Supreme Court rules tomorrow, Asiwaju needs to take his leave and obey the rule of law. He has nothing. And I know the man I know, while he was a former governor of Lagos State, he went through the court. He's a man of court. Okay. You might hate him for his guts, but he's a man of due process, and he's very calculative in ensuring to get his ass together. Not a man that does things hurriedly just to get fire brigade solution.
So a couple of questions. My very dear friend,
good friend
Mr. Hassan.
We have let the whole world know that we've resolved behind the camera.
I've got nothing
so
against
let's now
you.
go.
But the truth is, I'm a man of fact, and I state
same
things.
here.
And when you are interrogating based on fact and people call you unprofessional, it's a compliment actually, because you're doing your work. So thank you for complimenting me. Let me go straight to it. So this was the fact I was interrogating you on. And I'm just a person of facts, and I want the facts to come out.
Okay.
I get your point that a third party, can print a document and everything. But that's why I specifically asked you that did you read the deposition in its entirety? Because in the deposition in its entirety, there were a lot of discrepancies. When Enahoro Eba subpoenaed the school, they gave him one certificate, which was different from what President Tinubu submitted.
Okay.
So the one certificate that they gave Enahoro Eba was different.
Yes.
And that's the bone of contention. And that's why I kept on telling you that. That's why I kept on telling you that. No, hang on a minute. That's why I kept on telling you that you might not have had the full facts. So it's not that I have anything against you. I've got nothing against you. I don't have the capacity to hit. Hang on a minute. You won't let me finish. So that was the variation in the document.
Okay.
And that's why I asked you hitherto that if an issuing body does not authenticate something that was claimed to have been issued by an issuing body, then what is the case? Let me even stretch your argument and make your argument for you, because I love arguments. So if you say that a third party issued it, was there an authentication by the school recognizing the fact that the third party issued in its deposition? Wasn't that supposed to be submitted to INEC, part of the oath? Secondly, the Southwestern College documents. The school themselves came out to say that they have no verification mechanism on these documents students submit to get into their own school. Which is suspect, because that means I can submit a name and call myself Wendy Smollen, and the school will accept it without verifying it, which is also an albatross on the school itself. They also talked about, and these were the things that are in the documents. There's also talk about the case of Mr. Orr that left the school after there was a certification that was initially delivered to Mr. Wole Afolabi, which is cancelled.
Okay,
so these are the issues. Let me also set a timeline for Mr. Farotimi. Mr. Farotimi, there's this big bone of contention, and this is the argument some people are making, that all that matters is the fact that the school, and in the deposition when Mr. Henderson was interviewing the witness, the school said, yes, the candidate graduated. So people are making the argument that, is that not enough? Once they said graduated, but they said they cannot authenticate the documents. Because that has been a bone of contention, and I want you to be able to clarify first. Answer the question here.
Well, let me draw you to our own local system. Yeah, I attended LASU. So many years back, there was a printed certificate without your picture on it. But now you go to...
What year was that?
That's 2010, 2011.
That was
But I knew when... but I'm aware when you are in English. But I'm coming. I knew Dr. Bat very well as a lecturer. But at the same time, these are facts that are laid before all of us, and facts don't lie. It's just from the angle that you want to pick it up as an African man mentality that the king does no wrong, or let me just make sure that this man must be nailed, either is saint or not. What you asked is the fact that by whose authority? That's what we call it in law. Who's the authority? Who authorized the issuance? Was there a further request? It would be an omission on the part of the institution to have put up a maybe vaguely decision not extracted, or maybe too assertive. But in their report, if I just say, okay, this document is not from me, that doesn't mean that my the agent who had the authority ab initio is not authorized to issue the document on my behalf. It's only for you to go through that agent to reaffirm. And what Asiwaju is having today, which I want you to write, do your own.
The school had another. See,
let
that's
me
what
tell
I'm asking.
you.
Did you?
That's what
The
I'm
school
not
had
telling
another
you.
certificate
The
they
school
issued
admitted,
to Enauro Eba.
No, that's what I'm saying, that they even admitted that they have different characters that they use in issuing their certificate. So the people that did. Okay, now I have three vendors now. Do you expect every vendor, somebody in one trade, to maintain the same logo and design? Whereby every trade has their own logos, has their own trademarks. If I'm using my own trademark to issue maybe I'm using italic sign.
But Mr. Big's logo is uniform everywhere.
No, you're having the African mentality of Nigeria. I'm talking about America here. No.
But Mr. Big's logo is the same everywhere.
We are talking about a third party who has the authorized right to
but the
issue.
logo, but there's a standard.
Can we stay on course?
Go to that
this
third
program,
party.
no more interruptions today. Please, let's stay on course.
Definitely.
Make your point.
Okay, so the fact I'm asking you.
So there is none.
No, the fact I'm asking you is this. That's why I said, please, it's best you read it, because it's obvious you've not read it. And this is not to impugn on anything you said.
No.
See, the school in that deposition said they have another one that they gave Enahoro Eba. But the one Tinubu gave was different. They don't know how it came about. So the school can actually have a replacement and reissue. It was that one they gave Enahoro Eba. It's there in the documents.
The same school that gave Enahoro Eba still has authorized agent that is still
so why
let his right to.
So why
listen,
so why didn't they give Tinubu and they gave Enahoro Eba?
That's the choice of Asiwaju.
Why? No, I'm just asking, please, just a clear question. Why didn't they give Tinubu, but they could give Enahoro Eba? Pure and simple.
Tinubu only went to the third party to request.
Okay,
that's
Mr.
right.
Mr.
That's right. That is under his own right.
Mr. Lefartimi, I'm sure you want to answer the questions here.
I assure you that Mr. Azad is a very intelligent man. But when you find a very intelligent man struggling with something as basic as this, you will know that something else is there. So let me just say this. The candidate graduated. That was what the school said. But the school also said very clearly and unambiguously that he knew nothing about the document termed a certificate held by Mr. Tinubu. The only document purporting to be a certificate submitted to INEC by Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu by the declaration of the body that was meant to have issued it is fake, is a forgery. All these arguments that we are having is because, one, the Nigerian press, I'm sorry, Rufai, I'm sorry, Ayo and Doc, we sometimes deliberately ignore the truth that is in front of us and we go on fishing expeditions. The document from Southwestern College shows a social security number that goes back to a female. There are so many lies on getting these things that we are not asking questions related to that because it's already sufficient to focus on the fact that the document submitted is fake. Is that simple? Whether Mr. Enaoru Eba or Mr. whoever, the fact is on record.
But Mr. Faroti, the school said he graduated.
You know, the school said he graduated. I'm not arguing that with you. Why? That is already on record. It's not something to be argued about. But the school also said the certificate the man submitted is a forgery. That is what the school said. What did they say it is?
No, the school did not say it's a forgery.
So what did they say it is?
All the school said is that it is not what they gave, that they don't know about.
Exactly. So if the issuing authority says that this is not from me, why are we afraid to call it what it is? It's a forgery.
Okay, Faroti, let me come back to you. Number one, I think this program, we disassociate ourselves with the use of the word career criminal.
Thank you.
Because that's libelous per se. It's defamatory.
I hope that I will be sued for libel.
No, just
It will be interesting to know that.
just wait. No, please.
No. You're taking the show away from me.
I'm sorry.
No, please. So that's So
That is my summation of the facts as I see them, and anyone who is displeased with them is free to issue writs.
second, on the issue of these election matters, look, it's also not fair to malign the reputation of the CJN. You may say you have said it before, you are repeating it again, that under this CJN, you don't expect the courts to do well.
Look,
that's second point. So again, it's not our statement.
It is my statement,
yes,
and I stand by it.
You may have made it on our platform.
I've made it, and I say it, and I stand by it, and I have evidence of what I said.
Well, maybe the CGN himself may take up the matter with you. Okay. Then the third point is that when I raise the question whether evidence can be provided piecemeal, I thought both of you as lawyers are going to address that because that's one issue that has been coming up. Okay, maybe in criminal matters, if that evidence was not available initially, was not in existence, and is material to the delivery of justice. But this is at best a civil matter, right? So that was why I was asking, can the Supreme Court take fresh evidence in this kind of situation? And in any case, both of you must also know that electoral jurisprudence is different from the regular process in court. So I wanted both of you to just, educate us about, the electoral jurisprudence that we're dealing with here, rather than, emotional exchanges, so that the public can be better educated.
I am not being emotional. I have answered the questions I was asked. I have given my opinion as I believe them to be legally correct. They might be strong, but they are based in truth. Whoever is unhappy with them should feel free to issue writs. They are that simple.
Okay, to both of you, what lessons, as at this stage, without dictating to the Supreme Court that will be properly seized of the matter, what lessons do you think all of us as Nigerians can learn at this point? Let me start with you again, Faroti.
Just tell the truth. Just tell the truth. No matter how long you tell a lie, eventually you get found out. Just tell the truth. That is all. Just tell the truth.
Yes, any lessons?
Just let me retrace the word of Mr. Clark, SAN. He said, elections are just the most disturbing thing in Nigeria that always throw us apart year in, year out of election, and you can always come back every 4 years to agitate. But be that as it may, for we lawyers, very important, we don't over-sensationalize issues. It prejudices the court itself, and that really affected the opinion of ordinary citizens outside there. You allow the court to go through the odd. Then when you are coming for a matter, you must be properly feed with your facts and figures. You don't window shop for evidence when you're already sitting to ensure that that matter to be determined on the premise of justice. And we don't need to begin to coerce. We need our country. That is the best we can bequeath to our generation yet unborn. I still reiterate my confidence that however the judiciary delivers their judgment, let every fact in issue be determined, even if because of the time lag that they might not be able to go into details of some of all these allegations in court, because they are not substantive enough to say, okay, this man is guilty. Nobody has pronounced him guilty. He's not a criminal. And whatever persuasive opinion they might be holding, it doesn't change the law. The law is that Asiwaju presented a document. His lawyers are well informed. They presented their fact and submit everything before the court. And they allowed the court to determine it on its merits. But we just have to learn to guide ourselves, not learn to be too emotional. As a lawyer, we need to be tactical about issues. It doesn't mean because Asiwaju is the APC president, I must throw in all my heart. People knows my fightings. Even on some other fundamental issues, I engage the government constructively. I've issued petitions on some officials within the cabinet, within some officials of government. Presently, we are fighting a matter on NNPC. Does that mean because Asiwaju is there as president, I must keep quiet? No. Let us engage the government. This is our only country. And the media needs to play a role. Please, maybe I must commend your organization with National Orientation Agency.
You want to give us a lecture
yes,
on how to do our work.
Agency.
Like he says, we are all professional. I'm all professional.
Needs a lot of education. The citizens are mobbed into believing everything that is thrown at them. And I believe we are beginning to see reasons why our country should not be taken over by coup, has been advocated by the same set of people. Why we must continue to embrace rule of law and not rule of force. And let us
Massive response to the CSU and Tinubu saga should tell the world that Nigerians didn't vote him. He was rigged into power by INEC, Mahmood Yakubu, Buhari and APC. This is Nigerians dragging their own in the mud. We didn't vote him. #Tinubu must resign. The 44-year-old mystery has finally been solved in 2023. Another person here said what the Nigerian judiciary couldn't do in 44 years, the American Court of Illinois has done it in less than 4 months, and thank God for Tinubu. Without him, we wouldn't know the green snakes in the grass in disguise of sons and judges. And that's the simple truth. Without all of this, we will not know what is happening in our judiciary. That most of the sons that we were upholding in Nigeria and saying this person is a good son, this person is a good lawyer, we would not know their true color until all of this that came out to light. And now Nigerians now truly know what is happening in our judicial system. Another person here said the CSU people need to know and understand that it is not a Nigerian thing to forge certificate. We refuse to be profiled in this way, and that's the simple truth. It is not a Nigerian thing. That's the problem of the president. He forged his certificate. That does not mean that Nigerians are not good people. That does not mean that we don't have Nigerians who can show you their certificate and prove it that yes, I got my certificate from this school, from that school. It is not a Nigerian thing to forge certificates, and that's what we are trying to tell the outside world, that the number one person of a country forged certificate does not mean that Nigerians are forgers. Does not mean that everyone in Nigeria fake their own certificate. Another person here reacted and said, it's official. Chicago State University's registrar said Tinubu presented forged certificate to INEC. Mr. Caleb, under oath, states authoritatively that the certificate Tinubu has been parading was not issued by the CSU. This person here also reacted saying, we are looking for Mr. Durojaye Ogunsanya, the self-acclaimed classmate of Tinubu, the temporary 001 of Aso Rock at the CSU. Now that Chicago State University has said that the certificate submitted to INEC is fake, we need to see his own if it's forged. And that's the simple truth. You came out to say that you are Tinubu's classmate, that he was one of the best people in your class when you were in Chicago and all of that. But at the end of the day, the same school have come out to say that this certificate, oh, it's not from them. And we're beginning to wonder, is it that these people just felt that because the classmates came out, Nigerians will keep quiet, Nigerians will not push for CSU to release their own documents and for CSU to swear under oath whether they presented the certificate to Tinubu or not? No, Nigerians have grown more than that. You can't just bring someone and the person will claim that they're your classmate and Nigerians will just keep quiet. And from what we are seeing, everything about this so-called Duro Jaye is fake because people cannot even find him on Google and people are reacting to this on X. This person here said fake name, fake identity. He simply collected his share of the bargain and vanished since he is without an identity. Public analyst that you can't place with simple Google. I even tried using ChatGPT or Google Bard, but the man na fairy. And that's it. People have been trying to know, okay, what's this man? Where is he from? And all of that. We can't find it. He just came from nowhere and said he's a public analyst. He went to the same school with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Tinubu was the best and all of that in their class. And at the end of the day, all of this were all lies just to stop Nigerians from getting this certificate that we have gotten now and proven that of a truth the certificate was forged. Nigerians are now calling for the disqualification of President Bola Tinubu, and some people are even telling him to resign so that his image will still be intact before he leaves. Reacting to this, another person here said, I am publicly calling upon my fellow Nigerians to join me in advocating for the disqualification of Tinubu and Shetima from presidential and vice presidential candidature. My conviction is hinged on the premise that they are not educationally suited to hold these esteemed offices due to Tinubu's certificate forgery. The certificate forgery by Tinubu presents an unspeakable embarrassment to the Nigerian nation, a nation admired and recognized for its intellectual power and creativity should not be led by an individual who are implicated in such grave scandals. This is a grievous offense and should be favored with the due severity as articulated in our constitution. According to the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is stated, and I quote, "A potential candidate must be educationally qualified for the distinguished role. If an individual is found to perpetrate dishonesty in this aspect, he or she should not be permitted to ascend to power. The esteemed offices of the President and Vice President demand impeccable character and unwavering adherence to truth. Individuals with ties to forgery clearly fall short of these expectations. The quagmire of the Nigerian nation deserves a much-needed intervention, and this cannot be achieved by leaders with a questionable educational background. The reality of a nation striving to vanquish the ghost of corruption calls for leadership that anchors its credibility on sincerity, integrity, and transparency." This is not just a simple call for disqualification, it is a call for the fortification of the values that underpin our great nation. It's an appeal for the sanctity of truth, integrity, and respect for the Constitution. I implore all Nigerians to critically assess these circumstances and stand on the right side of history. We need leaders with integrity, legitimate qualifications, and a clear vision for the amelioration of our beloved nation. It is a call finished, not in despair, but I hope for a better Nigeria. And that's it. We hope for a better Nigeria. But how can Nigeria move forward when the people in top positions, when the number one person in Nigeria is someone with questionable character, someone with questionable certificates, someone that people cannot believe in, someone that even the international community cannot work with? How can we grow as a nation having this kind of challenges? Another person here said, public service announcement, Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Kashim Shettima must be disqualified by the Supreme Court on the ground of certificate forgery. The 1999 Constitution is clear on what must happen. I call on fellow Nigerians to join me in calling for their disqualification. Save the democracy in Nigeria. The Constitution of Nigeria should be amended. People should not be in court while others are inaugurated. In 1999, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Csu Buhari, resigned due to certificate forgery. In 2018, Kemi Adeosun stepped down as finance minister due to fake NYC certificate. In 2023, Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been confirmed to have forged the Chicago State University diploma certificate he presented to INEC. Nigerians expect Tinubu to be sacked by the Apex Supreme Court. Atiku Abubakar should immediately convene a world press conference and tell the world what he found out. Peter Obi and Labour Party should join the call as well. The opposition must unite for a common cause to rescue what's left of Nigeria. If the Supreme Court do not remove Bola Tinubu for submitting a forged certificate to INEC, then shut down the court and tell Nigerians that their democracy is dead. Calling for the disqualification of Bola Tinubu and Kashim Shettima is a national patriotic act, and no one should be afraid to say it. If they fail to leave that office, they will become the enemies of the country. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We say amen. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And if people could resign in 1999 and also in 2018 respectively because they forged their certificate, we believe that it can still be done in 2023. We know that this is a big offense, and the Supreme Court must ensure that the Nigerian people get justice for this. They must ensure that they do the right thing, following our constitution, following the 1999 constitution, following section 137, subsection 1J of the Nigerian constitution as amended in 2010, which specifically states that no one will be legitimately elected president of Nigeria if the person has presented a forged certificate to the Independent Electoral Commission. That's anyone who has presented any forged certificate to INEC is not qualified to run as president, and that person must be disqualified. Another person here said any judgment from the Supreme Court that does not include the disqualification of Tinubu is not justice and is not the reflection of the Constitution. It will not be accepted. The Supreme Court must, as a matter of justice, disqualify Bola Tinubu. We will not take this work this time. We will revolt this time. Another person here said, how can a man who forged everything about his education raise the educational standard of Nigerian students? How can a man like this make the young ones progress educationally? See, at this point, Tinubu must be disqualified, and to those championing this fraudster, it shall not be well with you till grave. Hashtag disqualify Tinubu. Like this person just said, it's impossible for people to want to look up to you educationally when your own is actually a challenge. It's impossible for you to be a role model to young Nigerians with this kind of questionable certificates. Another person here reacted and said, if Tinubu is not removed by the Supreme Court, he will be forced out by the people. Nigerians are fed up with him and his entire gang. Everyone who supports or condones him must face the music. Hashtag Tinubu must go. And now, this is what Nigerians are clamoring for, that this is enough evidence for the Supreme Court to disqualify Tinubu, because according to the law, anyone who forges any of their certificates is not meant to be the president of the country, is not qualified to be the president. So that means that according to the law, he's meant to be disqualified, and that's why we will not keep quiet. Nigerians and well-meaning Nigerians will not stay down until we get justice in this case. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. Please do well to share your thoughts about the video in the comment section. Please do well to like this video, and please do well to subscribe to this channel so you get notifications whenever we post new updates.